Okay, for this video today, I'm going to make an epoxy resin turtle on some driftwood. I actually have a plan, which is rare for me, but something I kind of want to do. I don't know how much resin to use. I don't really know this. I've made one or two before. I am no pro at this whatsoever. I'm still learning each time I do it. So I have a mold for the resin. Here I have some mica powders that I'm just sorting through, and you can see I have all these various containers. I'm looking for some colors for my turtle here. That's a little bright. Bright. So I have this green, and I'm thinking this brown, and this brown, and then maybe a yellow, a dark yellow. So these are the two yellows. It says light yellow, and this one says yellow. But light yellow actually seems to look darker. Yeah, it kind of does. So we'll take that one. And I was hoping for something in between the browns, greens, and yellow. Oh, that's very gold. Alright, well, let's just start with that. So far in my experience, I've found that I like to actually color the mold first and then dye the resin the color of the turtle I want, and then pour the resin in on top of this. And when you pull the mold, whatever colors I put in here should stick to the resin. So I'm going to need some isopropanol for cleaning, and we're going to give everything a quick wipe down, and then we'll get started. So I'm going to take a Q-tip here, make sure I clean all my corners. All along the shell line. Basically any crack, crevice with dust, not mildew, but residue, anything like that can build up. And they're all clean, so it doesn't come out on our finished product. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of paper towel. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Okay, so if I flip it this way, I'm hoping you can see the outline of the turtle. There's a shell, and its fins, flippers, and the head. So when we're done the product, it'll sit this way. So what we want to do is color this shell in this way. So let's do that. And I think I want to start with the darkest brown I have, which is called coffee. And I'm going to try and do this seam line of where the shell would be. And then these outlines of each of the patterns on the shell. So we're going to start with hopefully just kind of like outlining that in a nice dark brown. So let's give that a whirl. So I'm going to take this and put a little bit, I can move my colors. I'm going to put a little bit here on a napkin. So I don't know if you can see or not, so I'll bring it to you. It's just a little fine powder, and you just kind of sprinkle it out like you would a seasoning. And then I take the soft, very soft old paintbrush, and I coat. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm coating it with the powder. Oh, dropping some. Before I smear that everywhere, I'll get it off my hand. As you can see, it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember like pastels or, I don't know. So we're going to take that little bit of powder and we're going to start tracing in where we want dark. Oh, shoot, see? Oh, wait a sec. Okay, I didn't know I could flex it that much. I'm going to take this Q-tip, clean up that spill. I don't know if you can see, but trying to wipe that out, it's not very clean. So I'm going to take that ISO, give it a mist, take our paper towel, and let's get that nice and clean. Make sure we get the turtle's head nice and clean. Okay, let's try that again. So again, we're going to try and go along this seam line, and opening it, turns out, is a lot easier. I didn't even know you could do that. So again, I'm going to try and pack some powder on this brush, gently as I can. And now we're going to paint this line. I'm just going to keep going down, pack the brush. Highlight our spot. Now I want it dark in the crease, and if it fans out a little lighter towards the shell, that's okay, because we'll try and blend that in a bit. But I definitely want this line all the way around. Okay, I'm just gonna try and be gentle. We don't want to rip it or tear it or wreck it. Whoa! Again, let's take this, add some powder to our brush. And it's weird because it's like painting with dust. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, let's go to this side here. This is way easier, finding out that you can move these a little bit. I didn't know that for the first couple I made, so I was painting this, or not painting, brushing this like that. So I was trying to get underneath here. This makes things much easier to make sure. So again, we're just going to keep outlining our shell. Oh, see how tight that is in there? So we don't want to get it anywhere near his tail. So we've got to be very, very careful to get the brush in. We'll just kind of leave the brush on there so it guides along that line. Load it up. Slide it in. Follow the line. Okay, now we're just going to go back and try and pull that all towards the center of the shell a bit. Any remaining, pull it towards the center of the shell. Bring that color down into the turtle. You can see, if you get it on your hands, it gets everywhere quick. So my hand's glittering, so everything I touch wants to be brown glitter. So again, let's see if we can clean some of this up. I know it's on the outside, but if I don't clean it up, I'll just get it right back on my hands and smear it all over anywhere else. Okay, now let's just take our brush in and pull any remaining dust towards the center of the shell. So we're just pulling down towards the shell. Pulling down, pulling down. Taking out any straight lines, any clear edges. Pull it down. Okay. You can, oh, that's cool, look. So you can actually see on this side, the color, I don't know if you can see on this side, but the color has changed. You can see where we've got some color on it now. So now we're going to try and do all these little platforms here. So all these ridges in here. Same color. Now let's see. Let's go from the back, I guess. We're just going to paint those lines. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not, but we're trimming it all in. When I was a kid and I would color, I'd outline everything with my pencil crayons or crayons really hard and dark in that color. So if I wanted to say a red, I would outline the sock in red as dark as I could and then come back and color in the rest of the red as light as I could. And we're just kind of doing that same thing. We're coloring in, oh, coloring in the lines. Now if we go a little bad, it's going to be, if we get a little crazy or messy, we are going to come in here and try and clean it up with some Q-tips. But we're going to try our best to stay on the shapes we want. I don't know if pigment powders is the right material to do this with, but it seems to work. I like the outcome. It's definitely a finicky process. We're getting there. I'd say we're a third of the way through. let's just keep going. You can see all that powder fell off the brush just by getting it, but you can't really quote unquote pack the brush because you need those powder flakes. That's what makes the color and the pigment. So if you squish it all into your brush really good, you don't really have any pigment to spread. Okay, it's coming along nicely. I apologize, I'm sure this is probably pretty boring for people, but maybe you find it relaxing and calming. I do while I'm doing it, that's for sure. It definitely helps slow me down and calm me down. So again, we're just painting the lines. Trying to make sure that pigment powder is put on evenly. Again, we are going to tidy this up with some Q-tips, but the less we have to clean up, the better. So I do try to take my time. There we go, we're almost done. Okay, I think we basically just have this one more little rib in here to do. So the hardest part of this build, for now, doing the mold anyways, the scariest part is knowing how much resin to put in. That I don't know. So I'm going to try a certain amount, and if I have to add, we will, and if I don't, and I have too much, I really don't want to waste it, so I guess I'll try and find something quickly to do with any extra resin. So again, I want this a little bit darker in here, just underneath his shell. Okay, hopefully you can see that. It's messy as all can be. So now we're going to go in here, brush off our brush a bit. And let's go see if we can take this Q-tip here and just clean a little bit of the surface off here. We don't want to clean a lot off because we want the imperfections to mix into our next colors, but we still have to have a clean definition between the shell and the turtle. So we do have to have some clean color, some clean definition. So I see here at the back, it's not quite as dark as the rest, so we're gonna just add a little more color to that. Get it in there as well. Okay. That gives us our outline. I don't know if you can see that. The camera picks it up, but you can kind of make out what we've done here. So now, we're going to go from there, and then maybe go into a little bit lighter of a brown now, and we're going to try and join those, stretch the outlines out. So right now it's crisp, clean lines, so we want to take a little bit of lighter brown and push it towards the middle again, fading those colors towards the tips of the shell. And then we're going to bring in some yellows through the middle and smush it all together. So let's go with a little bit lighter of a brown now. So just to make sure I have, oh, that's not it. Where'd it go? Right there. So we just used this one, coffee. You can see how dark that is. So now we're going to go into this brown that's closer to a yellow. And we'll bring that in, and then we'll highlight it with the yellow itself, making the shell those three colors. So let's do that. Next, we'll go with the lighter brown. So same thing, just open it up. There's an end that you can pour out, and I'll just spill it everywhere. So I use this end, it's like a pepper shaker. And again, I'm just going to put some out on my paper towel. Close the lid because I will spill it everywhere. Clean my brush a bit. And then I'm just going to dip it in the powder. Just kind of roll my brush around a bit in the powder. All right. And then we're going to come back in on our seams and kind of go over the seam a bit. Just lightly. So we're just extending the seam towards the top of the shell. So we're just going to come along the seam. Just give it a bit of color. Nothing crazy. Not the same amount as we did in the other one. I don't know if you can see that or not. We're just kind of smearing it in there, blending it in. So again, we're just kind of going from the middle to the edge, or from the edge to the middle. So I follow where we painted last, and I just spread that around and try not to go too much more than halfway on each definition of shell. And a little bit of that light brown. each color you put on, the process gets faster because obviously there's less surface area to cover. So you can see we're whizzing through this one pretty good. A little bit more of the brown. Okay, so this is where it does get harder. Trying to get in these crevices. Just grab the end of the brush, reach in there. And again, let's make sure we go all the way around. We're blending it in as we go. Just smoothing it out. Now the most important part is to clean these edges when we're done. All these inside edges here, because that's supposed to be green turtle. Right, all through here. So those are the ones we really have to worry about making sure we get good and clean at the end before we do any resining. But again, we're just gonna follow the shape of the shell. Try and bring some lighter texture, lighter color. Just pull it towards the top. Bit of color. Follow the seam. And then just kind of blend it out. So think of them as little squares, and we traced them in dark brown. Now we're tracing the dark brown with light brown. And once you make your square, now we just pull it towards the middle of the shell. Okay, so again, outline where you just did, and pull to the middle. Okay, hopefully you can see that, how full it's getting, how we're pulling in the colors. So just keep that going. Again, some light brown. See if I can show you here. We're just tracing this out. And then pull it towards the middle. Take the powder. Trace out the shape. Okay, hopefully you can see that. We just got it here, 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 and a little bit around this edge on both sides. But we're pretty close to being done this color. So again, let's go around the edge where we already were, and pull it to the middle. Let's go around the edge, picking up a bit more color, and pulling towards the middle. Okay, so we just got this one and this one, but you can see how much, well, hopefully, how much of the surface area is now being colored. Let's trace out this one. It's definitely gets everywhere. This isn't neat, clean. Well, it's not that bad, I guess. Maybe it's just me. I get a mess everywhere, so. It's a lot of fun, though. It's very relaxing, very soothing. I find working at my desk in general is very therapeutic. All right, one more. There we go, trace it out. And then pull it all lightly to, and by the way, I'm being very light on the brush when I'm pulling it all. Very light on the brush. Okay, hopefully you can see where we're getting. You see how it looks from this side. How much of the color we've actually filled in. Okay, so we're gonna, again, clean off the brush. And I just wipe it on a dry, clean paper towel area until there's no color coming from it. Then we're gonna take yellow. Same thing, shake some out on a napkin. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. The dust just went everywhere from these. So give me 1 second here. Let me just clean off my hands a bit before everything gets everywhere. Quick wipe off. All right. Get back to our brush. And we're just going to roll some of this powder. You can see the brush is packed like that, and then I'm just going to roll it back and forth on the paper towel, back and forth until I can push it a little more into the bristles. But this is a very, very light with the brush, light with the powders. It's a very gentle process. So now we're just going to go on that very tip of each one here. Just try to add that little bit of color. It's like a little highlight, just saying how do you do. Again, very gentle with the brush. Roll that powder into it. Spill a bunch of powder everywhere. And just paint that one top edge. Now what we do is we go back when we're all done, we'll go back in and kind of rub all the powders together with just a dry brush. We won't take any colors, we'll just kind of blend them. So a little highlight there, a little highlight there. Hopefully you can see again, we're just going to come up through here. Again, we're just trying to pull it all together. Hopefully you can see. I don't know how this result's going to turn out. This is something different way of doing things. So, but that's what I find my art is all about, is learning, trying new things, experimenting, seeing what I like, what I don't like, seeing if what's in my head I can bring to life. That's the most thrilling part, is the craziness of my brain coming to life. So again, we're just going to go back and forth, pulling all the colors together. We don't want clean distinctions. We want to pull it all together. So we got to go down the side here. So again, we're just doing right along the edge, just getting enough color that we can fill it in, blend it up. Again, put in a little bit of color, a little bit of color. And then we'll just pull it all into place. We'll just brush it all into place. Hopefully you can see from this side how it's turning out. And then you can see on this side how it looks. So let's finish this area off. So we're just going to outline it. And then blend on top. Again, we want to blend all those colors. And hopefully by doing this, we're creating a layered effect, so that when we're done, you'll see all three colors come through. Hopefully. We're going to find out together. So again, let's get in here. I'll take that excess and we'll just start here. We're going to pull to the middle, pulling the brown and the yellow together, filling in that void. Pulling those colors together. Go in here again with a little bit more yellow. In here with a little more yellow. All right. So it looks like from that side. And again, you could pick any colors you wanted. You could do dark browns, you could do blacks, greens. These are the colors that hit my head as I started filming. This is kind of where we're going. And to be honest with you, I'm really curious to see how it's going to turn out. Okay, so that's the pigments for the shell. Just going to fold my napkin in half to keep everything from blowing away. And then we're going to take a little ISO and a Q-tip. And we want to make sure that we clean these edges now, down in here. You don't want to have shell on your green turtle because the shell is its own entity. So if we don't tidy that up, it won't look very good because all of that brown will come shining through. We don't want that. So again, we'll just hit it with some ISO. Get it clean. When you use isopropanol, it's an alcohol, so it evaporates quickly and cleanly, as well as it makes a great cleaning solution. So I don't know if you can see that now, but we're all clean in there, so we want to get in here. Along his neck. And once the fills up, just use a dry end of the Q-tip. Clean up those edges. Okay, so same thing on this side. Let's grab a Q-tip, hit it with some ISO, make sure it's good and covered. Then we're going to go in on this edge. We're going to tidy that up. Take the dry side, give it a good wipe down. The dry side with some ISO. Get all there by his tail. Because again, right now we're cleaning the underside of the turtle, so it's not like he's going to be brown. Alright, now let's take this paper towel and do the same thing, but we're going to clean this area before I spread everything everywhere. So we're going to mist it with some isopropanol. Let's clean this up. Okay. Now, let's decide. So we're done with the powders. Now we got to pick a color to fill the turtle in. So today I'm thinking between dark green and light green. I just don't know which tint I want for the skin. So we're going to be using this, and I'm going to try, it's a 2-part epoxy resin, so part A and part B are equal parts. So I'm going to try a total of 160 ml and see where that puts us. So I'm going to do 80 of A and then 80 of B for the 160 mil. So I have my measuring cup ready. Whenever I use epoxy resin, I wear gloves. Nothing crazy. Let's clean this right out of the way here before we spill that everywhere. Okay, so we got our gloves. Out of the way. So what I'm using is an epoxy resin. Hopefully you can see that. So there's bottle A, bottle B, and obviously you just pour A, pour B, and then you stir consistently for 5 minutes. So grab some stir sticks. Alright, so now, do we want the turtle to be translucent, or do we want it to be opaque? So do we want it to be kind of see-through-y, or do we want it to be a solid color? That's the question we got to decide. For this one, let's take a look. So I have these acrylic inks, different colors. And when I put these with the resin seems to stay mostly translucent or see-through. When I use normal acrylic paint, it makes it opaque or where you can't see through it. So in realism, you're not going to be able to see through it. But for this art project, maybe it'd be kind of nice if you could. Not settled yet, so I'm just taking this one in sap green, giving it a shake because I kind of like that color. It's a pretty neat contrast. And I think maybe what I'll do is take a little dab of acrylic paint in a similar color because I don't want it completely see-through. So I have an acrylic paint set that I numbered, and then I can go through here and look at some colors and decide what color do we want our turtle. So we have a sap green. Hopefully you can see the different colors. I'm thinking I kind of like somewhere between the phthalo and the chromium. I think the more I look, the more the phthalo comes to me. So according to this, it says it's 6, and it will be the second one. So I put stickers on my paint. Row 1, row 2, 3, 4. So let's go to 6. And number 2, 6. See, so row 5, row 6, phthalo green. Now, again, with the actual acrylic paint, you just need very, very minimal to make color. So let's get our, oh boy, gloves on, maybe. There we go. I like them tight at my fingertips. I feel like I have more control over what's going on. Same thing. Try and get my hand in. I'm being lazy right now, which is not paying off. Usually I use this, and I just sprinkle a little bit on my hands first, and then the gloves slide on nicely. But I thought I'd be lazy, and as you can see, I'm struggling with my gloves. That's what you get for being lazy. So, let's give ourselves a surface to work. Again, I just have parchment paper down because if I fail, if it explodes, if it leaks, if I spill, it is way easier to clean up on parchment paper than it is to clean up off of the desk, the mats, the carpet. So let's give this a quick wipe out. Where is our the isopropanol? Quick mist. Towel. Let's just give this a nice clean out. Make sure there's no debris, residue. Alright. Hopefully you can see where that is. Alright. So again, I just took my marker and we're going to do 80 of A, 80 of B, making a total of 160, and we'll see how that turns out. Might need to add more, might not, so I just don't want a whole lot of extra. So let's start here, and I'm going to read at eye level. So I'm going to get down to my eyes are at the level of the mark. If you're looking above it and you pour, or you look, pardon me, or you look below and you pour, you're not going to have a level, accurate measurement. So we're going to be eye level. So I'm just opening up jug A. Cover off, bottle A, and again we're going to try and go to 80 mil. So we'll get it flowing pretty good until we hit about 60, and then we're going to start slowing it down so that we don't go over 80. I like to pour it right in the center so that it sinks out to the sides, giving me an accurate measurement. Slow down there. Apparently using a scale is a better way to do this. I don't have a scale, so I'm using a measuring cup. It's like a plastic. Okay. So there's 80 of A. We're going to put the cover back on here. Oh, just in case. Let's give that a bit of a wipe down. Put the cap back on. I'm a firm believer in clean as you go. All right, bottle B. Same thing. Let's crack this bad boy open. Pull off the cover. And that's settled now, and we are definitely, yeah, pretty darn close, if not perfect. 130, 140, 50. And as you can see, I'm slowing my pour, slowing down my pour. Basically just letting the residue from it. And there's the 160. So let's just let that little string, let it stop dripping. Okay. Give that a wipe. The cap bag on. The lid bag on. Okay. So what we have now is 160 mils So now we're going to take one little dab of that phthalo green. Hopefully you can see this. We're just going to take one tiny little dab. Show you here. Right there. A stir stick tip. That might even be too much. I'm going to plop that in there. And we're going to start our stir. So 5 minutes consistent stir. As you stir, it creates bubbles that we'll have to deal with. So usually what I do is after it's stirred for the 5 minutes, I'll let it sit for about 5 minutes to bring all of the chemical reaction and bring the heat and the bubbles to the surface. Then I'll pop as many bubbles as I can, and then we'll do the pour. So here we're gonna add a little bit of that sap green, because this does seem a little bit of a cartoony green, almost like a darker aquamarine or something. Not the color I'm looking for. More of a marsh green. There we go. Just adding that bit of sap green. Again, you can see it's totally see-through, but it changes that color. So we're into it for 2 minutes so far. What do we think of that color? Yeah, I think it could work. Actually, wouldn't mind just one more dab of that sap. So it's just a little dropper. You just squeeze put it in, let go, and then you squeeze out your drops. So that was 3 more for a total of 5 drops of acrylic ink sap green, as well as 1 tip of acrylic paint in phthalo green. There we go. Now we're getting a nice deep color. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we're getting a nice deep green. I really like that one better. All right, so we're at 3 minutes. I'm confident they're definitely getting mixed. So once we get this poured and we're happy with the amount and we get everything cleaned up, then we'll go on to step 2, which is making a base for this. So I found some driftwood last summer when I was out at a lake, and I brought it home, and I've had it basically sitting in my house drying out for just about a year, maybe 10 months, 9 months. So I think that should be nice and dry, and then if I fill it or cover it in a Mod Podge coating, that should seal everything in. And once I have it sealed, then we can start deciding how to take that piece of driftwood, and we're going to take this turtle Oh, better keep stirring. We're going to take the turtle and set them up somehow in a scene on the driftwood. So, you know what? With all this yellow and gold, now that I've done that, I kind of want to throw some yellow ochre in here. I don't know what's going to happen. I might even ruin it, but I'm going to do it. So there's 2 dabs of yellow ochre. Hope I don't regret this, but let's see what happens. There we go. All right, so got that stirred consistently for 5 minutes. At a color we're kind of happy with. If you see all these bubbles coming up to the surface and popping? There's millions of little micro bubbles all throughout. So we're just going to let this sit now for a minute or two once we're sure it's combined well. Last bit of pigment off the wall. Okay, so let's just let that sit for a second, and if you see, you can see the bubbles coming up to the surface. So we're going to let that happen for a few minutes, and while it's going, I'm just going to take a lighter, and I'm just going to nuke some of these bubbles. Just heat them up just a little bit. Alright, so let's give that a couple minutes just to sit while we push that to the side. We can put our paint away. Nope, we gotta keep the gloves on for now. Let's move the glove. Okay, let's get this maximum coverage. I like using this little tray because if anything bad does happen, it leaks, it spills, there's a crack in the mold, something, it'll contain everything from getting all over the rest of my house and all over my desk. So, all right. So here we go. Now we're just going to start pouring it in. Hopefully you can see that. Trying to turn it this way so you can see. Pour. It looks like we may end up being short. So 160, not enough. You can see it's not filling everything in. So let's just pull some up into here. Get this color. Pull some up into here. Because we want this color. Make sure the tail. Head and neck. Push them up into these ridges. Okay, so you can see all these bubbles. We're going to hit those with some heat. All right, so now we're obviously going to have to make some more resin. So that was 160. What do we guess? $80 total. Okay, so let's add just add another 100. So a total of 50 of each. Okay. And let's tidy it up. Cap on. Now this time, because it's the very bottom, we can either make them a little bit darker on the base or a little bit lighter down the base. Usually, from what I know, which isn't much, sea creatures are dark on top, light underneath, so that when you're looking at them from below, it looks like you're looking at the surface. And when you're looking down from above, it looks like you're looking into the deeps of the sea. But with our little turtle friend we're making here, I don't really think it matters. We can do whatever we want. Almost cross-threaded the lid. There we go. Okay, hopefully you can see this. See all the white bubbles? So again, let's hit it with this lighter. Popping the bubbles. Popping the bubbles. Careful not to melt the silicone, careful not to stick the lighter in the resin like I just did. The reason I use these lighters is because this little stem here keeps me from the first few times I did this burning my knuckles in my hands so badly. So that a little bit of extra reach. Alright, so we got our resin addition, making another 100, so that would be 260 total. Start mixing those together. And we're going to add some that sap green again. And we're never going to match that exactly, of course, which is bummer. But sometimes you can get it close enough, or if you have the right color scheme, it actually could turn out looking better. So you can see how much darker green that is versus that. We just took that yellow tinge that we added last time, and we're just going to leave that out this time. And then we're going to give this that 5-minute stir. But again, we should be able to mix this well and fill what's left of our mold. And then we should be able to set it aside, and all we have to do is wait for it to cure tomorrow, or till tomorrow. Once it cures and we pull it out of the mold, we'll do any kind of trimming, any excess shaping we need to do, add some color to his eyes. And be able to put him on a base. So again, we're just getting this mixed really well. 2 of the 5 minutes have gone by. We're just mixing and mixing. It's not just about mixing the color. The color is just helpful to see how well you've mixed. Make sure it's all the way through. But it's about mixing part A and part B together for 5 minutes to start the chemical reaction, which will turn this into a solid object. So we're at 3 minutes. I don't know if you can see while I'm stirring here, but again, all those bubbles we popped, oh, they're all back. Well, they're different bubbles, but that's the chemical reaction in the epoxy. Four minutes into stirring. At 5 minutes, we'll do the same thing. We'll let this sit and bring up some of those bubbles to the surface while we try and use a lighter to cook down all these bubbles. And then we're going to combine. Alright, we're almost there. Just scrape those edges, get into those corners. Okay, there's our 5 minutes. So I actually have a bigger version of those kind of lighters. So again, we're just heating up and popping those bubbles. Okay. Let's take this over. Let's just add to our mixture. Just filling in all the voids. Okay, so that fills the mold, and we have about 40 left. So we did another 100 for 260. Minus 40 is 220. So we want around, around 210 to 220. Let me just put this down here on this parchment. And let's just give this a light tap, make sure it fills all of the voids. Okay, let's hit some of these bubbles. All right, so far so good. We'll come back in about, I don't know, a couple minutes here and hit the bubbles again. In the meantime, what am I going to do with this? Can't waste it. So I got an idea. I got these at a craft store. They're light covers. Now I'm sure you're supposed to color them how you want or whatever, but I'm just going to take one of these. And see if it works. I can just paint it to whatever I want. So let's try one of these out. I've never used any of these before. I'm actually kind of, let's just see what happens. So again, this is a light switch cover. Oh, I should have put parchment underneath this one. Okay, well, that actually ended up working out perfectly. So let's just see if we can slide this onto a piece of parchment. Okay. All right, so we got a light switch cover, and most importantly, our turtle. So again, look at all these bubbles. Hopefully you can see that. So we're going to try and, oh, it hurts my hand. Let's go back to this one. Okay, so that's where we're at for the resin part of this. 24 hours, that should be solid. 24 hours, that should be solid. We're going to use that in some other project. I probably almost guarantee you I won't just leave it that green, but I didn't want to waste it. So we'll use that, and then we'll probably, I don't know, prime it and paint it or something. This, you can see, I'm going to come back every 15-20 minutes or so and just, again, take the lighter, hit some bubbles. And I'm just going to keep doing that throughout the day. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up everything here at my desk, get everything tidy and put it to somewhere safe, and then I guess we'll start a video on making a base for this project. So I'd like to thank you for watching step 1 of our next build. Have a great day.